Folks, while I've already covered the finals match and other epic games from the 2025 North American Scrabble Championship, I haven't yet talked about my own experience competing in this amazing event. I was on the live stream a bunch of times, but in this video, I'm going to take a deep dive into one of my favorite games that was not on the live stream, my round 11 matchup against Andy Hoang. Andy is a former School Scrabble champion, so I'm expecting a tough game, and after his short opening of Vet, I start out on the wrong foot with a rack of all consonants. I could exchange here, but length for 14, shedding 5 tiles, is just good enough for me to play instead. Andy answers with Gox for 27, and I draw much needed vowels, allowing me to turn my attention to shedding the V from my rack, which I can do with Haven for 22. Andy plays Mib for 24, a third straight short play using very few letters, so I know he's close to a bingo. Fortunately, I draw the first blank, so I'm hopeful that I can beat him to the punch. I'm playing in the North American lexicon division, so I have to disregard a few plays that would be valid internationally but are invalid here. After a few minutes of looking in disbelief that I might have no playable bingos, I suddenly realize I do in fact have one. Airplay hooking my Y to lengthy for 78. I wish I would have seen this faster, but better late than never. I'm not surprised to see Andy bingo right back with Estrin for 76, his highest scoring option with these letters. All of a sudden, there are multiple dangerous openings, which could be a great thing given that I immediately draw the second blank. But my clunky vowel combo stops me from bingoing, and I play my best choice of Find for 36. Andy plays Claim for 33, while I draw 3 vowels and play the waiting move of New for 17, scoring decently and hoping to draw consonants to bingo through the airplay letters. Andy clearly has the opposite problem and dumps his consonants with Flank for 24, and while I'm usually happy to see the Z, it stops me from bingoing here, and I play my top option of Fused for 36. Andy hits back with the high-scoring Skew for 45, and here I make my first mistake. First, I missed the 9-letter bingo through IN of Distraint for 60, which I'm sure I would have played had I seen it. But I also missed the idea of just playing Czar for 26 through the Z and R already on the board. Instead, I played Ditz for 10 fewer points. Ditz does have its advantages given that I'm trailing and holding the blank. Ditz opens space towards the top left, whereas Czar makes things even tighter. Still, 10 points is a lot to give up in a close game. Ditz also allows Andy to make exactly the sort of blocking move he ends up playing in Sig for 9, shutting down my new openings almost immediately. If you can believe it, I actually draw the playable bingo here of Tolarjev, but despite seeing this word as a possibility from my letters, I somehow don't realize that it actually plays to the V of Vet for 71 points. Luckily for me, it's actually the case that my play of Joe may be slightly better. Tolarjev throws the board wide open and gives Andy first crack at a huge array of nice tiles to play through, including a triple lane. Joe keeps things more closed. After Joe, I draw EEY from the bag, and as I wait for Andy to make his next move, I see that I have a really amazing play available. Into the IN on the board, I can play I Strain for 74. If Andy has any of the 3 remaining O's, he's essentially a lock to play something to the lower middle triple forming Joe, and I'll be able to play this sick bingo. But to my dismay, Andy instead plays the self-descriptive Ruin for just 4 points, ruining my dreams in the process. His goal with this play is clearly to block 7-letter words ending in N that would hook Noon, which makes a lot of sense as the most salient threat on this very congested board. So with my dream play blocked, I have to improvise. I'm only down 4 points, and again, this board is absolutely horrible now for bingos and scoring plays plays, especially without an O for Joe. I'm about to play Yag for 10, setting up a lane for 7-letter bingos, when I realize that even if I hit those bingos, they're going to yield really big counterplay to Andy a lot of the time. So I decide to get creative. While I give you a moment to try and figure out what I played here, just a quick reminder that if you're enjoying my content, I have a Patreon page where I post bonus videos each week along with other perks. Okay, back to the game. I wind up burning my blank here to play Skewered for 42. I'm really glad to see that the computer engine Macondo actually agrees with my unusual choice, taking a good-sized lead and keeping the board completely dead while also blocking Andy's potentially high-scoring plays to the triple forming Joe. Suddenly trailing, he responds by patiently playing Aw for 18. At this juncture, the most important tile to keep track of in the unseen pool is the Q. I'm up by 20, and I'm thinking to myself, would Aw be a play that Andy would make if he had the Q left on his rack? I decide that he probably doesn't have it here, and I make an aggressive play of Payek for 18, which the engine also likes. The point of this play is that if I draw the Q, I'll be able to play Quid for 42. If Andy has this play or Cade himself, it'll still be an even game, but if I can get this play down first, I will suddenly be up by a bingo score. Payek apparently also makes it literally impossible for Andy to bingo, which is never a bad thing. It blocks words ending in IC and doesn't allow for any new 7-letter overlaps down the B column. However, Andy makes a nice response here of Grid, not only sensing that I might be setting up my Q, but also putting a G out in space, which is especially threatening with 2 I's and 2 N's in the unseen pool for the ING suffix. So I decide to play Aga for 8 to block that possibility while holding the necessary letters to play Squeg hooking Gride if I draw the Q. Andy makes a resourceful play of Declaim for 14, reopening the previously locked down upper right and challenging me to block that area without opening anything new. And the Q finally finds its way out of the bag and onto my rack. My top scoring move here is Basque for 44, but this opens the board even more and does nothing to address Andy's newly opened zone. So I sacrifice points to play this same word into the E of Declaim. I like this move more than the engine does, but its favorite play here is completely bonkers. Tab for 12, setting up the massive QUS combination on my rack to score a potential 80 points or more with a slew of draws. At first glance, there's a huge problem with this. There's another S lurking that Andy could have himself. But here's the thing, when he does have a bingo cashing in his S, I almost always have a similarly big Q play in response to the triple, which will vault me right back into the lead. Few humans would even consider this, but I admit it is a fun idea. From here, Andy makes a desperation opening of Sue, and I can see after double checking my tracking that he doesn't have playable bingos. Just in case I'm wrong, and sanatory is a word, I play Sen for 10, and after his Tyro for 34, I go out with Toe for 14 to finish off a 382 to 349 win. Not too often you see two scores under 400 at this level. Overall, I had a ton of fun competing in this tournament, eventually finishing in 7th place, which I am happy with, despite the fact that I was in position to be a finalist for much of the event before a late slide dropped me out of contention. That being said, I had so many other awesome games that I can't wait to get into, so look out for videos breaking those down sometime soon. And as always, thanks for watching.